Okay, good morning. Is everybody out there? Dr. Foster, Terri, Dr. Samuelson? Good morning, Stevie and Sarah.
Thank you. I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning. We can't quite see you, Dr. Samuelson.
You've blocked me.
I haven't.
Yes, we're both blocked.
I will talk to the technician. Stevie?
Should work.
There you go.
There we go.
There we go.
Thank you, Stevie.
Good morning. Good morning to you all.
Hello.
Good morning.
It's great.
Hi, Foster. Terri.
Good morning, Gary. How are you?
Hi, Gary.
Great to see you.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening to you. Well, good morning. We'll start. Excuse me. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you are in the world. And thank you for tuning in to this wonderful webinar. My name is Maria Hopwood and I'm from Sydney, Australia. Now, before we start, this webinar is going live on Dr. Gary Samuelson's Facebook page. Please feel free to add wonderful comments of appreciation. However, as a sign of respect to Dr. Samuelson and his guests, do not post any questions on his Facebook page. For more information, please go back to the person that invited you to this webinar. Also, please note that the lines will not be open for questioning. However, time permitting, Stevie Aquilina will read any question that come in the chat box so long as they are ASEA compliant. I appreciate your cooperation. Now, the format of this webinar will be set by a number of questions that we'll post to Dr. Samuelson, Dr. Malmed and Terri. Welcome. But before I start, I'd like to make a disclaimer. And the disclaimer is that ASEA, Renew 28, Redox serum are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or medical condition. Dr. Samuelson, Dr. Malmed, welcome. Terri, we so appreciate your time and taking time out of your day. It's just wonderful to have you here. Please feel free to interject at any time. It is a conversation, so you go ahead. I'll just keep you honest by giving you questions, if I may, at times. So let's begin. Welcome to the webinar. And the webinar topic for today is the last 10 years, ASEA's Redox Bio-Techonolgy clinical result, tips and idea for health professionals with Dr. Samuelson, P.h.D. atomic medical physicist, and Dr. Foster, Malmed and Terri, ASEA triple diamonds. Now, before we start, I would like to ask a question to Dr. Malmed and Terri. Welcome. As an introduction, please share with us how you know Dr. Samuelson.
Oh, well, thank you for having us. We're so honored to be here. Love always doing webinars with Dr. Gary. So we were actually met Dr. Gary at the first convention that we were very skeptical. We were there because I got my life back, which I'll tell you in a moment. Awesome. But we went there really just to find out more about this company, the people behind it. We were not network marketers. We didn't know anybody. And we got there and we got to see, we were skeptical New Yorkers, and there was Dr. Gary, along with Vertus Norton, two of the most humble, altruistic men that we've probably ever met, and just made us feel at ease. Dr. Gary was so humble. He was just so kind and wanted to hear everybody's stories, and he was just true from the heart. And that's how we met him. You want to add to that?
Yes, absolutely. So Dr. Gary has one of my most favorite brains that I've ever met. And I'm a chiropractor, but a researcher at heart. And when I saw what had happened with my wife, and I read about this guy, Dr. Gary Samuelson, I wanted to see what an atomic medical physicist looked like and what it is that he thought like. And we were blown away. We were skeptical New Yorkers. I was a chiropractor working in a hospital, which wasn't that easy. And the thought of bringing a saltwater product developed by an atomic medical physicist through network marketing into a hospital didn't sound so alluring to me. But after meeting Dr. Gary, it was a done deal. We got on the plane and we said, okay, we can hitch our carts to those horses and let's see what we can get done, because they're amazing humans. Thank you, Gary.
Yeah.
That's awesome because Dr. Malmed, you have got quite a history. So if you don't mind, I'm now going to read your background, a bit of a background. So you've received your Bachelor of Degrees from Syracuse University. I hope I pronounced that correct.
Close enough.
Thank you. In 1979, and your doctorate from Palmer College of Chiropractic in 1983. You also you were at the New Jersey State of All-Round Gymnastics champion. So you're pretty fit as well. That's good to see. And since you graduated, you've been a doctor of chiropractic and a certified applied kinesiology for over 34 years. So from 2010 and 2015, you have been the sole chiropractor in Patna Hospital Center, where you've used ASEA products for the past 5 years, for about 5 years. And you've then moved into the Physical Medical Medicine and Rehab Wellness Center 2.5 years ago, where you actually continue to share the products with all your patients. Terri, you've left your full-time career in September 2010 as a personal trainer and a business owner to actually share these amazing products with the world, which is fabulous. And after having an incredible life-changing experience while taking ASEA, you've just become absolutely committed to share the message of ASEA with the world. Dr. Malmed, I believe you now sit in ASEA's medical professional board, and you are an expert in the field of redox biochemistry. And your passion is to teach lots of other doctors and health professionals about the science of ASEA. Truly appreciate that, Dr. Foster. Thank you so much. So, Terri, how did ASEA change your life?
Oh my gosh, in so many ways. But to start with, I had a couple of things. I had been bitten by a bug, and I had a disease from that bug. And I also, because it was went undiagnosed, mistreated by Western medicine, I turned into an autoimmune. I was very, very sick. I would say I was the healthiest sick person you knew. I did everything to get better, from Western medicine, Eastern medicine, alternative. I did everything, and nothing got me better. I was in bed a lot of the time. Everything in my body hurt. I had extreme fatigue. I didn't have, my brain cognition was bad. I couldn't find words. I had a lot of things going on with me. And we were introduced, a friend from California called and said he had this magic water from Utah, Salt Lake, and he was a network marketer. He really wanted us to join his business, but he talked about the cardiovascular benefits, because that's really all we knew back then. It was cardiovascular benefits and just the immune system. So we just decided to try it. And in 3 days of drinking this saltwater network marketing product, I got out of bed and I literally could walk, and everything was gone. I felt amazing.
Wow.
So it wasn't, for me, it was like, what's going on? Day 4, I was even better. Day 5, I wasn't having to nap. And I said to Foster, it has to be this product. It has to be ASEA. I've done nothing else. Mm. And that was the beginning. I never looked back. I got my whole life back. Wow. And it's continued. Over the past 8 years, so many things have changed. So many things have continued to improve.
Thank you so much for that, Terri. I mean, that's such a wonderful, beautiful experience, because it gives a lot of people out there a hope, and those that are listening to see that, look, and there's also an expectancy, isn't there? I mean, some people have results overnight in 4 days, but sometimes people take a little bit longer to experience those results, which is something that perhaps we can talk about a little bit later. So, Dr. Samuelson, welcome to the webinar, and thank you for your time. Now,
it's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. That's lovely. For those that don't know Dr. Samuelson, Dr. Samuelson has a medical atomic physics degree from the University of Utah and has dedicated his career and knowledge to the advancement of technology that addresses major health issues today. He's also the author of the book of Science of Healing Revealed. His focus is on the science of redox technology, and that is now developing around the world. Dr. Samuelson is the one and only scientist that was able to do what the scientific world deemed impossible. to stabilize these amazing redox signaling molecules outside the body for our consumption. Thank you, Doctor. This in itself is a magnificent accomplishment, considering that these amazing molecules take a millionth of a second to be created and used up by the body. And it takes the same amount of time to be converted back to a saline solution within the human cells when they are not required. Thanks to Dr. Samuelson and ASEA, humanity, of which we are now all part of, have trillions and trillions of these molecules stabilized in a bottle in a gel, and also now in an intensive redox serum form to protect, repair, replace our cells. And as Dr. Samuelson has said previously, ASEA assists in expressing the gene that helps communication inside our cells. For more information, please, you can all go later on to Dr. Samuelson's blog, which is drgarysamuelson.com. So welcome, Dr. Samuelson. So what was your first experience? What was your impression when you first met this wonderful couple here, Dr. Terri, Foster and Terri?
Our journey with ASEA has been incredible, actually, all around the world. They were one of the first ones that we met when we went down to New York. We had a get-together. I just wanted to correct a few things. First of all, there are several genes that ASEA affects, several significantly, and also early on, we understood the potential of this technology. At least I understood that it would have the possibility of accelerating healing in every part of the body, which was incredible. We'll talk a little bit about why and how later, and especially for the doctors out there that like Terri, and like Foster, and Terri, that we met in New York, and as he had mentioned, he had a position at a major university, a hospital, and was doing things up there, and I was very interested in seeing how the ASEA product was being received in the medical world among the medical practitioners, because I thought that at the very beginning we tried to actually develop and release this as a pharmaceutical. I don't know if you knew that, but there were 16 years of research leading up to the point where it came into our hands. And this research, even though it did not indicate what it did specifically inside the body, it didn't understand the redox signaling technology. That was something that we understood a little bit later on. When we looked at this and found that every component, or all the components that were in this new technology, made out of salt water, like Foster had mentioned, that these components were the same components that existed in large numbers inside the body as signaling messengers. And that they had a great deal of utility inside the body. I became very excited about this. I wanted to see what it was doing. And, Foster was one of the first people that actually started to apply it in the clinical environment. And not only that, though, we also developed a close friendship. And, Foster was a wonderful person, and I enjoyed their company very much. But we've known each other since almost the very beginning. And at that time, at the beginning, we knew the potential, or at least I knew the potential. I tried to educate people on what it could do. And it was more than just the immune system, and it was more than just some of the other things that we mentioned. There was also the signaling system and healing system inside the body. But my goodness, what have we seen during those last 10 years? What have we seen? Hasn't it been an incredible journey?
What haven't we seen would be the question.
So, I'm sorry, Maria, you have your mic off.
Not anymore. So meeting Dr. Foster and Terri, and of course you understanding the importance of this discovery to what it meant to humanity, And of course, I'm sure you'll realize there was a commercial opportunity behind it because somehow it had to get to people, okay, and the product had to be produced. What was your initial reaction, and how did it expand both your vision, Dr. Foster and Terri, and of course, Dr. Samuelson?
As far as it being network marketing, is that what the question is? Yeah.
It had to go to the market. At some point, it's got to go somewhere. You've got to give it to the people. People need to have access to it.
Yes. I was ignorant into the power of network marketing. I didn't quite understand the business model. And so for me, it was, it's one of those pyramid things. And so I was, getting your life back, I couldn't deny the product. But the business for me was a little like, I just wasn't comfortable with it. And that was my own ignorance. So I said, I'm going to share the product with everybody, but not the business, which was so sad because, again, I kept it from so many people by only sharing the product until I learned about the network marketing and to learn about Vertus Norton and his background in beverages, his background in business. That gave me confidence that if this man, who was the VP of strategy for Kraft Foods, thinks that this is the way to go, well, then I'm going to follow his lead. So that was my take in the beginning.
My take in the beginning was I was very blessed that, to us, it was just a sports product, allegedly, that improved VO2 max in 14 days with impossible numbers. And when Terri told me originally she was better, I didn't believe her. It was like, okay, that's nice. I'm going back to the hospital. I'm going to work. But then day by day, as she was cooking and singing and cleaning and feeling so much better, I couldn't ignore that. And then when I had my own changes, that's when I decided I would read that man's book. And I got only halfway through the book because I'm a slow reader. And I said, Terri, the guy who told us this was a sports product, he's a dope because this is going to change the world. This is why you're better. This is why I'm better. And this is going to change the world. And we have to find out what this is, if it's real. Mm-hmm. So that was when we decided we needed to go meet this man who wrote this book, who had these theories about the stuff we drink that got her better. My children got their mom back. And then within just a month or two, one of my dearest patients in the world came in and he had been given a prognosis that was very grave. And I just gave him the product and I said, listen, let's see whether or not, you can feel better. And they gave him a handful of weeks to get his affairs in order. And Dr. Gary, it's been now almost 8 years and he's fine. Thank you very much. And that was the first one that I saw. And when we saw that, I didn't care if it was network marketing. I wasn't going to share network marketing, but I needed to share this product with my patients and with doctors in the hospital. And as that grew, checks grew. And then somebody said, where are your presentations? And we said, we don't do presentations.
We don't know what a presentation is.
And so that stuff all came later. But in the beginning, it was all about, could we trust Dr. Gary's research? Did it make sense? Did it work? And yes, now we knew it. Now, could we get that message across in a New York hospital? And if you want to look at my back, I can show you the bullet holes. This was New York. But it's okay. The message is getting out just beautifully.
Fabulous.
Yeah, well, Maria, when they first introduced the network marketing to me as a possible commercialization strategy, I thought my career was over.
Exactly. We could have been on the unemployment line together.
Well, the technology was world class, wonderful technology, and I wanted to see it finish the pharmaceutical track. But it would have cost over $1 billion in 10 years of development. And then they would have only developed maybe one indication out of the 30, 40 different types of, or more different indications that might be, the indication means something that it can do against a problem, a health problem. So I went to Vertus and I said, no, we can't do this. and Vertus took me aside and he said, Gary, how are we going to get this product out? It won't sit on a shelf. It'll be out in 10 years. We didn't trust the pharmaceutical companies to shepherd this technology, to steward it. And so who is going to do this? And we looked at each other and we realized, maybe you're right, Virtus. I'll help educate people on the science behind this product. And so I started to go around and educate people on what redox signaling was and what it did inside the body at that point, and all of the things that we had learned. But the thing that touched me probably the most, and the same as Dr. Malmed, was the effect and change that this had in the lives of hundreds, even thousands of people as it started getting out there. And I was one of the very fortunate ones to sit there at that vantage point and see that literally thousands and thousands of people were getting their lives back. And it was just an amazing thing, Terri is one of the special ones, but she's only one of thousands out there that we've seen. And so we realized that we did the right thing. In getting the product out there, using this network marketing model, we were able to reach more people and more lives in less time than would have ever been possible otherwise.
And of course, you have the benefit of actually creating a commercial opportunity for those that want to, because the more you share, the more you get rewarded, don't you? Which is a fabulous system. Yeah, absolutely. So, Dr. Samuelson, you made in 2017, the genetic research was actually launched officially to the world, and that was a wonderful thing. Now, Dr. Malmed and Terri, and of course, Dr. Gary Samuelson, the question is for all of you. What impacts and benefits did you see this having on health professionals that are adopting this technology in the everyday practice? And how would they implement this technology with their clients? What are your thoughts?
I'd like to hear how Dr. Malmed did this. He has told me the story before. This is very fun.
Well, so again, when I became the chiropractor in a hospital, and I had only been there for a few months, nobody threw me, as I say, a parade when I got there. And then when I brought in the saltwater network marketing product, they didn't throw me a second parade. So what I did was I took a whole bunch of boxes of empty ASEA boxes and I piled them into a triangle shape. And I made sure that every patient that I saw walked past that room, and I didn't have lots of time to talk to people about mitochondria and how this all worked. So back then, we had our 2 videos, and, I could use a chisel and a rock. I could get them a message. But people would walk by and say, what's that pyramid of stuff? And I said, oh, that's the most powerful product in the world, and it's not a pyramid. And they would say, well, that's interesting in that it's not a pyramid. And I said, no, it's not. And if you're interested, we'll send you some information. So it was a lot of just piquing their interest and getting their information. But then as people would come in as my patients, I'm a musculoskeletal specialist. And I'd say, you know what, you have this problem in your back. And normally that would take however many weeks to get better. But if you start drinking that product, it's probably going to take less time. Do you want to take longer or a shorter amount of time? It's up to you. And so I would just pique their interest, try to use just a sentence or two, get them to understand this is the number one, in my opinion. It's number one in health, wellness, anti-aging, skin, and athletics. And anybody that you can talk to can improve, and anybody that they know and everybody that they know can improve. And this is about humanity. Who wouldn't want to help others?
You're muted again.
You're very good. Yeah. Well, from the very beginning, I started to educate the doctors on what this was. I have a little presentation, maybe 5 minutes, that goes through some of the early technologies or the technology. And if would it be all right if I just showed a few of those slides, including maybe the research, the gene research that has been taking place recently here. Yeah, I'm going to share my screen. I hope this works. Excuse me. Oops. All right. There we go. Well, the story starts with oxygen. And a lot of people understand that oxygen is very important for health. Even doctors realize that. But they don't know why. Oxygen is an interesting molecule. An oxygen molecule can receive electrons. It's be called reducing the oxygen. It also can oxidize other things by taking electrons away. That's why it's called an oxidant. And when it grabs an electron, it becomes a new thing. Oxygen, when it grabs an extra electron, becomes a superoxide ion. If it grabs another one, it becomes a peroxide ion, like hydrogen peroxide. And then it grabs more, and it becomes more and more active in that area. It also becomes more reduced. And the most reduced form of oxygen is water. And, oxygen is a major component in water. And the bonds that exist there are important. There's 1 trillion billion of these molecules in just one drop of water. So there's a lot of oxygen. And the water also forms clusters. And the clusters then also have biological impact inside the cells. And so, as we're developing biology, we start realizing that we are made out of a bunch of tissues. And those tissues are made of interconnected cells. And then these cells have all sorts of things happening, just a metropolis of activity inside, from complex molecules that are connected and orchestrated, and they're all connected through the saltwater medium. Everything in biochemistry takes place in salt and water. And the salt and water also becomes oxidized and reduced. And that's what they call redox, reduction oxidation technologies. And it causes all of the things inside the cell to work. And so the cell helps to communicate and coordinate all of these very diverse activities inside by using oxidation of oxygen or salt water, which also includes some other things that are like hypochlorites and such. Most of these are produced while the metabolism is producing sugar and creating superoxides and such. And these are being created by the mitochondria, and then they're being eliminated by the antioxidants. Inside the cell, there's a continual process of creation and elimination of these redox signaling molecules. Some of you have seen this before. And that's wonderful because the mitochondria is producing energy. It's also producing these things, and it's keeping in a homeostatic balance all of the oxidation inside the cell until the cell gets damaged. Then the cell starts to smoke, send up smoke signals where the oxidants and free radicals go crazy. And this is a signal that something is wrong inside your body, like inflammation or immune disorders or whatever it happens. This signals the genes then to take their stance, to get ready and to fix the problem and or kill the cell. And the cell, when it dies, it's a programmed death, is replaced by the neighboring cells that are healthy. And this is the way that the body heals itself. And so when you can see that when I saw that we were able to produce these redox signaling messengers outside the body that could directly stimulate the processes inside the cell to let the cell repair and replace damaged tissue, it was incredible. This had been impossible in the past. And I still, at that early age, thought it was impossible until we started to see the results that we did in the clinical environment and also around the world. So James Watson now is one of the champions. He was the one that saw what or helped discover what the structure of DNA is. Right now, he is in New York, by the way. It's sunny up there, and he is spending the rest of his life seeing what these reactive oxygen species or redox signaling molecules do inside the body, and seeing how we can produce them inside the body. So this is not a behind the scenes type of science. This is actually in front sort of things. Many have in the cell signaling process discovered what redox signaling does. One of them, and many of them, I should say, have earned Nobel Prizes and written books, done absolutely wonderful work in science on this technology. So there's the lead up, and I hope that it didn't take too long. The antioxidant myth is that oxidants are bad and antioxidants are good, and you only can get them from vegetables. That's not true. Both antioxidants and oxidants are produced inside your body and are necessary companions for the healthy working processes inside your body. And many oxidative therapies today are becoming very popular, like these the oxygen tents and the ozone therapy and hydrogen peroxide, and the ways that we stimulate through light and electromagnetic radiation, oxidative processes inside of our body. All of these have to do with the redox signaling process. So they're trying to stimulate and create the redox signaling inside the body that will heal damaged tissue. So I am going to go through a little bit this quickly, but we found that the oxidants are very critical in the regrowth of tissue. This is a tadpole. You cut the tail off a tadpole and it regrows. The reds and oranges and the yellows are actually the redox signaling messengers, the oxidants that are inside the tissue. They're able to use fluorescent markers to show what it is. Notice in the regeneration of the tail, the oxidants are very critical there. In fact, without that, what they did also is they took antioxidants and got rid of the oxidants for the regeneration process, and the tail did not regenerate. So the oxidation, the redox signaling molecules were absolutely essential in the regeneration of tissue. And the redox signaling molecules inside of ASEA, actually, I'm going to go through this a little bit, are able to replenish the same type of redox signaling molecules that are inside healthy living cells, and that are produced in there in a way that has never been possible before, through drinking it. And so we asked, well, what will these redox signaling molecules do? Are they safe? The 16 years of studies that I mentioned before said they're absolutely safe. They're biocompatible, they're bioactive. They increase antioxidant efficacies. They increase the NRF2. And this is important because we just have proven through our gene studies that NRF2 is one of the pathways of the genes, the increased production of NRF2, which produces antioxidants and defense genes. And it also does a lot of the things that we've seen in the gene study. For example, it helps to activate the innate immune system and reduce inflammation. And in the muscular and the vascular health also helps to renew the endothelium, or the cells inside the blood vessels. And one thing that I didn't know from the gene study that I didn't predict was that it also helps in the production of digestive enzymes in the digestive system. And it speeds up regeneration of skin cells and oxidation of tissues. And these things that we have seen. And besides that, it kills all the microbes. It's perfectly safe. It can go in your eyes, ears, your nose, your mouth. You can put it in any tissue. You can put it inside, outside yourself in any amount, and it's safe. And but it kills bacteria. So the bacteria that are pathogenic, the bad guys, it kills. And it has no effect on the healthy bacteria. And we've done several studies on that. Cell cultures, we found that it increased antioxidant efficacies, incredible amounts in cell cultures. It increased sensitivity to hormones. That's another one that we've proven out in the gene study. It reverses cell aging. Cells that were aging and unresponsive, all of a sudden became responsive and new when we put ASEA in these cell cultures. It opens these keep one channels, which are also part of the genetic pathways that we have studied. It opens detoxification channels in the gut, and stimulates antioxidant production, and it's key to regeneration cycles of the cell. So we found that this is just almost a universal heal it thing. If you want to be a little bit less technical, where it is exposed, it tends to accelerate the healing process of the cells. And it also helps to enhance the energy utilization in animals. Mice were shown to run 29% longer when they were given ASEA. The human metabolism also goes shifts in metabolites that last longer than 24 hours. Again, this was a study that was done about 3-4 years ago. And then there are several theories as of why it is working and why it's doing this, and we're still discussing. The science is just at the barely beginning of understanding this, and then the thousands of cases that have been reported and for positive benefits. The benefits for skin, of course, skin when it becomes damaged is very visible, and so the reduction in blotches, smoothness, texture, and hydration are very obvious. You don't have to be a scientist to see the effects of this. But they did use very good analysis and three-dimensional mapping of skin texture and stuff by lasers to analyze this in order to get these results. It increases the blood flow. It decreases the cellulite fat globules, and then it increases the rate of cellular regeneration. Cardiovascular research, we already knew that it would be incredible for the cardiovascular system. The genetic research said that it stimulates the EGR1 gene that helps to renovate the inside of the veins, these endothelial cells that we were talking about before. And so very, very exciting that we're actually, in several cases when we have sugar problems in the blood, these very veins are destroyed, and it degrades our nervous system, degrades our cardiovascular system. There are over 5,000 mitochondria in every cell of the heart, 4,000 to 5,000. And they're producing these things because the heart can't stop and repair itself. So the endocrine research that has gone on, also the skin research, lung research, long before Dr. Malmed was on there, we saw the most incredible things on the regeneration of lung tissue in animals. We can't talk about it because this was early research before we gained technology. Digestive system research, it helps these digestive system to replace cells. Of course, cell signaling is important in the nervous system, and it aids there. It's safe and applicable to everything. And so now, recently, I was going to say, a little bit about the genetic research. We found that there are 5 genes that we've been able to determine. Genetic research is very difficult because there's thousands and tens of thousands of genes, and they're moving all over the place, and it's difficult to see which ones, to actually find a difference in the noise. But we did, and they were some of the most important signaling genes that exist in our body. And so you can imagine, you know, how excited I am. Now I'm kind of sitting on the sidelines. I'm doing other things. I've written a book now about it, a new book, and it's being released next month. And so I'm still very excited and involved in the science still. And but I'm almost more excited in seeing, you know, what's happening in the field with you guys. Okay, sorry, I took a little bit longer than 5 minutes, but I'll.
I don't think anybody minded. Quite happy to, very excited, and it was just, it was a wonderful presentation, and thank you so much. And I think the most wonderful thing is to see how excited you are, because you can actually understand what this is truly doing for humanity. Overall, so this is really exciting to watch you present. So that, thank you so much for that. That was just really, really lovely. Thank you, Dr. Malmed. What are your thoughts on that?
About which part? About the amazing presentation? About the genetic study? What would you like to know?
The lot. Go for it. We're all hanging on every word on both of you.
Everybody settle in. I got a lot to say. Okay, so the presentation was amazing. It's just such a pleasure to watch and to have this many people on a webinar. You know, when we started 8 years ago, and if you got a couple of people on a webinar, they were skeptical and they just came on to learn about things that they could make fun of. Now, this is real science. You know, we're not kidding. This is now 10 years since Dr. Samuelson was able to put this stuff in a bottle, and 8 years since we've been using it. And it's amazing. There's when people say, you know, who is it for? It's for everyone. You know, if you have cells, it's for you. So when we saw the genetic study, that was amazing in so many ways. So, you know, we all had these guesses about what it was doing. We had the oxidative stress study. We had so many studies that were awesome. But when this came out, this really pointed us into directions that I think we had always hoped. Some, I had no idea that we could actually trace a line right from, you know, drinking ASEA to going and helping and affecting the biological processes of circadian rhythms, which just that part happened to win a Nobel Prize last year. So it was amazing to see what this could do. And so, you know, when people are now open enough and they say, you know, how do we know it's not salt water? Well, just look at the straight line. That's salt water. That didn't do anything. And then look at that other line that shows 20 to 31% improvement on all the subjects who took 8 ounces a day. So, you know, as part of the medical board, you know, we are part of the marketing department. So we use that study to say, you know what? Yes, we've always talked about drinking, you know, 2 ounces twice a day. But when you drink 8 ounces a day, like those subjects, we know what's happening to you genetically. It happened to all of them. Yeah. So it's a real pleasure to be able to say, you know what? 4 ounces a day is for maintenance for people who have no troubles. But if you want real improvement that we have now objectively shown, drink 8 ounces a day. I would tell you, we know plenty of people who drink more. We each drink 16 ounces a day because we see what gets better on people. We're now all about prevention. We don't want to ever get anything. We'd like to be here with Dr. Gary helping people for another 100 years. And I think that we can have a shot at that if we drink enough of this product.
That is just a wonderful thing. You're right, because I'm glad you said that about the 8 ounces, because you did do a webinar on the 4th of June, and you did talk about that you didn't know what 4 ounces was actually doing. There was some obvious changes in people's life and health, but now you really, really do know what 8 ounces do for the body. And of course, after seeing this presentation from Dr. Samuelson, we can really say 8 ounces, it's the way to go for the body to actually, you know, empower it to actually improve its health. Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, and just to clarify, it wasn't a blanket statement that we have no idea what this is doing when you're only drinking 4 ounces a day. We just didn't do that genetic study on 4 ounces a day. So we know more about 8 ounces per day objectively than we do about 4. So I now always recommend 8.
But I was doing 4 ounces when I got my life back. So everybody's different. Yeah. But we've been doing 8 ounces twice a day now for quite a number of years. Mm-hmm. Because I was doing it, and then I said to Foster, I want you to do more.
She made me drink more. And I said, why? I'm drinking the standard 4 ounces a day. and she said, you see what's going on here, let's prevent things. And so that's what we're doing.
My thoughts precisely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I wanted to add also, the network marketing program, even though I opposed it at the beginning, I think is wonderful because it allows people to afford it. If you get in the business, you're actually able to afford these health and a bit more that you need. And so that's really neat. I know Dan Doyle was on a little while ago, and he had some health issues and some financial issues, and the ASEA was very helpful in both of those. So it's a wonderful way to do it.
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad you brought that up, Gary, because that was one of the things for me, Maria, that really turned it around, that I would only offer the product. It was only about the product. And when we started to do presentations, and we were making good money, and we were winning trips, and we were winning awards, and here I was keeping the business model away from people. And I heard a statement, a statistic that said the difference of people filing for divorce, losing their home, or filing for bankruptcy was an extra $500 a month. And I said, wow, here I am making wonderful money, and I am not offering this opportunity to people in my audience. And so that was like my aha moment, that I said, I have to start offering this opportunity, because if I offer it to one person for the product, I'm helping one person. But if you get somebody in like Dan Doyle, if you get somebody in that's a network marketer, somebody that wants to do the business, they're going to take ASEA and they're going to offer it to thousands of people, and we can help so many more people. So that was my aha moment.
I remember that aha moment when she said, do not try to get me to talk about network marketing.
That was the beginning.
So we used to do presentations in the hospital. I had a large sort of lecture room, and we would talk only about the product, and then we'd sort of say, and if anybody wants to know about the business, you can talk to us later.
We would kind of whisper it and go, and we were embarrassed. How sad. Sad.
Look what we learned.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And it's wonderful that this particular model has reached so many people. And I think what I heard one of the Diamonds say one day, don't ever judge the product by its distributed. And that is so true in this case, 100%. So, we've got these, a lot of people on the line, and there's some on Zoom now, but quite a few thousands on Facebook at the moment. And as health professionals, both of you, Dr. Samuelson, of course, Dr. Foster and Terri, they are really keen and wanting to find little tips and ideas on how to pick the interest on other health professionals in the community. I mean, a lot of people, for example, I'm not a scientist, so how does somebody as a layperson approach a doctor or another health professional that is out there in the community that could really benefit from this particular product, and also their clients, most importantly?
Okay, so that's a very compound question. Okay, so first of all, we know that when people get into network marketing, they know if they can get their doctor into this business, they're done forever. And that's not necessarily always true. So what we found sort of statistically is the number of doctors who are going to be interested in this statistically is pretty similar to the number of people in general. So in the hospital, I had lots of practice at hearing the word no. So first I'll talk about from health professional to health professional. So to go to another health professional and say, I have something you must look at. This is important. This is planet changing. Sometimes you can get their interest. You're going to get the interest more of people who are not in large groups, as sad as that is. In my hospital, there's a group of about 500 doctors. And there are a couple of the doctors in there that use the product because they saw amazing results, but they won't talk about it because it's not FDA, and because if their boss finds out about it, they don't want to lose that job for suggesting a product that's not FDA. So that's something just to be aware of. If somebody's in a big group, just know they got a lot of rules, a lot of constraints, a lot of protocols, and they're not going to be the easiest. One-offs, so the doctors who are still independent, and there aren't tons of them, they may be interested not just in the technology. When you say to them, you can help literally everyone have better results. So if it's somebody who's really altruistic and a true doctor who wants to help people, they're going to look. There are some who are only interested in the bottom line. And if it's the bottom line, we can help them with that as well if they're going to be interested in this marketing model. There are some who have business models that don't involve any products at all, and it doesn't matter what you say to them, they're not going to look at it because they are focused on their system that they do that some practice manager taught them, and they can't bring in anything else. So the niche is going to be those who are open to new products, who are open enough, smart, and I don't know if I say smart enough. Okay, smart enough to be able to look at redox signaling is this is going to change the world. It's already changing the world. And still most are going to say no. And it never hurts to get the doctor's staff to help you. As far as a lay person going in, just know it's not always easy. The doctor's there to listen to you with your complaints, not necessarily about a new business or a new product. So don't be offended. And the goal is just don't take up much of their time. Just let them know, I have this product. It's amazing. It helps everyone. It will help every one of your patients. If I sent you a 3-minute video, would you look at it? Something very simple. Don't walk in with Redox Life. It's the most amazing book some of us have ever read, of course, besides The Science of Healing Revealed, of course. But just send them a video. Just send them one two-page document, and then just keep following up. And that's the best way. It's good.
Yeah, and you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. And just asking them if they're open to looking at something that's absolutely life-changing. Ask them if they will give you 5 minutes of their time. But when you ask that 5 minutes, really set your timer and say, I'm going to really 5 minutes, because doctors are busy. They don't, if you're going to start talking about something, they're going to start looking, they have their schedule. So say, could I speak to you for 5 minutes at your convenience? And schedule that 5 minutes with them to look at something that's absolutely life-changing and see if they're open to it. You're going to be able to tell. And again, I think really important in network marketing is don't expect a doctor to say, yes, I'm in on the first talk. This is about finding out. It's a relationship business, finding out what that person wants, what that health professional is looking for. And it may not be the right time for them. So it's just kind of dripping, a drip campaign, just talking to them, seeing if they're open.
And if you can ever get the Renew 28, if you see them with an injury or, they talk about that, their shoulder hurts or the neck hurts, whatever it is, bring in a tube and just say, can I just share this with you for a few minutes? Just please trust me. And don't you put it on them, put it on their hand, have them rub it in a few times. And then while they're doing it, say, we're just going to do this for 5 minutes. You now have that 5 minutes to talk to them. And maybe you'll get a new person once they see what that does in a few minutes.
Wow, I can't emphasize how effective that is. I've talked for hours and hours and days to researchers about the product. And then I said, okay, it's safe, use it. And
that's it.
And they start. That was it. Then they said, "Well, what's this gunk that I'm coughing up out of my lungs for smoking for 10 years?" And my knee is feeling much better. What happened? What is this stuff? And then you can start your conversation with a little bit more credibility, even if you're a scientist. So.
Yeah. I just think that's important not to base your business on healthcare professionals. Again, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, but don't stay focused on them, because it's going to be somebody's going to come into your life that's going to take this and run with it, that's going to share it with people, that's going to have that credibility. So just treat healthcare professionals like everybody else.
And when you look at ASEA as a company, back in the early days, there were a handful of us doctors, and I think just about all of us are now on the medical board. that a handful of us took it and ran with it. But now when you look at who the Diamonds are, there's not so many doctors that are coming up. It's now professional network marketers. It's regular people. So, it's an awesome niche if you're comfortable there and if you're good there, but just talk to everybody because they'll lead you ultimately to their doctors as well.
Yep. Good point. Very good point. So to Dr. Foster and Terri, if you had to start your business from scratch, how would you do it now? What would you do differently? And what tools would you recommend using? And how fast would you do it?
Wow. Well, I think easily I would have focused more on the network marketing model than just the product. If you want to build this business, I would have definitely learned about network marketing. I would have been more comfortable offering the opportunity and not being embarrassed of it. So that I would have definitely done different. It's different times though, because as Foster said, right, Gary, in the beginning, we literally had 2 videos in the dinosaur days when we got in. We had the product video and the opportunity video. So we didn't have a lot of tools. So we really did have to talk a lot because we were teaching the world about these redox signalers. It's a different time now. And I could tell you the videos that I like today, but next week there'll be different ones, great ones. So there's so many different tools. I think the key is to use the tools. And as we used to say, don't vomit on people. Don't try to explain redox signaling molecules. Use a tool and find out, ask questions. I think I would have done that more too, is ask questions of people, find out what's in it for them. If I'm talking to an athlete, I'm certainly not going to talk about my health condition. If I'm talking to somebody that's sick, I'm probably not going to talk about the opportunity. So it's finding out where somebody's at and what's in it for them. And then following up. That's my favorite. It's not so much a tool, but it's following up as many times as it takes to educate that person on what we have and what's in it for them. And so, I think people give up. I think they give up. Oh, they didn't sign up after I spoke to them the first time. Oh, they didn't answer my phone call. I called them 3 times. They didn't answer. I'm going to not call them anymore. Keep following up until you get an answer, a yes or a no, and just keep giving people what it is they want. What do they need more of? And just educate them. Once people are educated about what we have, whether it's the opportunity or the products, once they're educated, it's a no-brainer. They're going to get it. So just keep following up. Don't be embarrassed. And, people just don't know what we have until they do. And so it's not that they're not interested. They're just busy. And like we said, we knew that the guy that got us in, he just wanted us to join his business. So he didn't really know that I was sick. So again, following up, asking questions, and focus on learning about the opportunity, the business.
Beautiful. And the reason that I do this, so Dr. Gary's presentation, I would want to see that presentation. I would want it myself, and I'd want to watch it 10 times. So I could get every fact that came out of that, because that's why I'm here, is that to see, we are just bags of biochemistry. And to know that that's what's going on inside us when you drink this product, that's what gets me so excited.
Yeah.
And I'm a geek. There's not that many of us around that are going to build a business while wanting to learn that. The real reason I built this business, I got my wife back. So I didn't do it for any other reason other than to shut up a guy in California, and my wife got better, and that got my notice. And reading that man's book, that got my notice. And then once I saw their hearts at the first convention, and I assure you, you go to convention, your world will change. When you meet the hearts of the people who are here, when we saw Dr. Gary's heart and Vertus Norton's heart, and that this science was real, that's what got us. And we came back and said, how can we not do this? We have to try this.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Samuelson, have you got any thoughts about this? Love to hear your thoughts.
It's been quite a journey. And so, before people do learn, you learn a little bit at a time about the science. The science, as we've said, isn't the thing that convinces us. Understand the mechanisms, but whether or not you understand it, it works. and it works universally in everyone. It's safe. It's a wonderful product, and it should be in the hands of every single person. It should be in the hands of all the hospitals in the world, stacked up in whatever form you want, and this is a wonderful thing. And so I see at the end of this journey that it will be one of the greatest tools that we'll have for regaining our health in the world. And it just happens to be, in this model that it has come forward. But more power to you, more power to people like Terri and Foster and all of the doctors that are in there that are understand the importance of this through their own experience, folks. And people will start talking about mitochondria that have no idea what a mitochondria is. To explain these sort of things and gain the knowledge that Foster was talking about, and it's exciting. It's exciting to gain new knowledge. It's exciting to understand how the body works and how we can be stewards over our own bodies to make ourselves better, and that's wonderful.
Yeah. I truly believe this is going to be considered the greatest scientific discovery of the 21st century. I truly believe that. I believe that just like penicillin took 17 years, moldy bread, for people to, believe in it. Everybody laughed at people for 17 years. Well, we're getting there. We're just the world is discovering it, and soon when momentum hits, the whole world is going to know about it. Every country wants this. People in every country are begging for this. And it's just a matter of time before we can get it to everybody. And it's going to change. As Foster said that at day 5, when he was halfway through Dr. Gary's book, and he set it down and he said, Terri, this is going to change healthcare. This is going to change the world. For me, I just cared that I was better. For him, he's a science guy, and he was so excited. So that I'm very excited to where this is going to be in a few years, and Dr. Gary is going to be a household name. I believe that.
Yes, he is. Dr. Gary, Nobel Prize Samuelson. So
I like that.
So my thought, and I know, Maria, that we had sort of discussed, where is it that we see where this is going to go? It took something really sad, I think, historically, for penicillin to be accepted widespread. Was they needed an answer to infections. I think it was during World War II. And that's how they needed something, and it was there. And that's how they discovered that these antibiotics were real. And I don't know what it's going to take, if it's just going to be this slow continued roll as it goes into momentum, and it's all just through this network marketing model, or we're going to have some issue where people are going to, instead of reaching for whatever it is their doctor prescribes, we are now already having people who are saying, you know what, my doctor says I need to do this for that, but instead I'm going to take ASEA. And then they say, can I put it here and can I put it there? And I can't answer those questions. All I can say is it's safe whatever you do with it, but I can't make recommendations unless it's drinking it or spraying it or using it topically. But there's no question that the groundswell has already begun, that people are now reaching for this. And I think that part's going to happen first. We're humans. Some of us, people still smoke cigarettes and they drink and they do all sorts of stuff. You talk to Gary and it's, they use Botox, they eat sugar, they do things that just cause this rampant oxidative stress that causes these problems that we have. People, I don't think, are going to look at this as much for prevention as an answer when they're forced to have an answer. And then once they see what happens with this, that it helps them in ways that they had hoped, I think then other people like us said, you know what, we saw what happened, let's try to prevent that stuff. And I think the prevention will come later, and it being an answer short term is going to happen sooner. And I think that's how this is going to grow.
Wonderful. Yeah, great. Penicillin took 20 years to develop. My maxim right now is what works wins. And so
I
If
like
it's
it.
safe and it works, it wins.
Very good.
Wow. Can we use that, Dr. Gary, or do you have that trademark?
No, it's not trademarked. They were fun.
Okay. Well, then you can also use long-term use of ASEA cures skepticism. I got that okay.
Well, this has been an amazing webinar. We were a little bit over the hour. Dr. Samuelson has got to go. It's a little bit late over there with you are. I just want to say thank you on behalf of everybody, because, you know, appreciation is a wonderful thing and makes what is excellent, which is you two, Dr. Samuelson, Dr. Foster, and Terri, you know, belong to others as well. So thank you so very much for your time and wisdom. You know, we thank you because your dedication and passion for the work and that you are doing in the service that you're providing to humanity, you know, fills our hearts with hope, and I truly appreciate it. The world's a better place because you guys are in it. So thank you so very much. It's been a wonderful webinar, and we've had lots of tips and ideas. I guess the message is this is an amazing discovery. As you said, Dr. Foster and Terri, is the best thing that's ever happened to us in the 21st century and beyond, I believe. There is a lot of information that ASEA has put out there, so please feel free to go and access that. It will answer a lot of the questions that I've seen come in on the chat. We have also Dr. Samuelson's book, The Science of Heal Reveal, and of course his blog, which is www.drgarysamuelson.com. There's a lot of information there. A lot of the presentation that you saw today will be there as well. Please note that this is being Facebook Live from Dr. Samuelson's Facebook page. The recording will go out as soon as I actually put it together again, compress it so I can upload it, and it'll be available to everybody. It's been a wonderful webinar, as I said before, with lots of ideas, 100% appreciation from all of us. Thank you so very much. And I think we all have, those that are listening, those that are watching this, we have a human responsibility. It's the global responsibility to share this with as many people as possible. We have got an amazing gift in our hands. Thank you, Dr. Samuelson, because like you said one day, long time ago, it was like divine intervention, that when it clicked in your brain, we all benefit from it. So thank you very, very much. Finally, before I say goodbye, please note, ASEA, Renew 28 and Intensive Redox Serum are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or medical condition. Once again, thank you so much to all of you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Good night.
having
Good night,
us.
Gary.
Good
Thank
night,
you, Maria.
Gary. Good night, Maria.
Night.
Thank you.
Honored.
Good
Thank
night,
you.